Okay, so, great news everyone, I removed the dead guy hanging from the ceiling, that's very good. And then, now, I'm ready to head out, well, not today or tomorrow, but pretty soon. Hence, in the upcoming 2 weeks, there won't be any episodes coming. And by upcoming weeks, I mean starting next week. Well, actually this Friday, because I'm heading towards the Azores, which is gonna be fun! But enough of my shenanigans. We are here to learn something, aren't we? Or I don't know, because this is my vlog and I can do whatever I want to. Oh, by the way, to answer some of the comments that I've received lately, or positive, except maybe 1 or 2 strange ones, I want to answer one specific, probably the most exciting of all, which is how to find my favorite wallpaper. And for that, you don't have to do anything, just go on and find it. It's right there in Google. I'm not sure whether it's copyrighted or not, because it says maybe, but since I use it for myself, except now, I hope that the owner just won't care. And even though I receive quite a lot of questions about grammar, I think this was the most important of all. However, let's do something serious. There comes a time in everyone's life where they need to talk about the place of things. But I often get the question, when I speak English, do I actually translate things in my mind, or do I actually think in English? Where do the words come from? Well, the truth is that the words come from an unidentified place in the back of my head, which I never dare to go in. So I guess you could say the words just pop up at some point. When I try to express myself, I tend to express myself in English. When I do that in Hungarian, I just tend to do the exact opposite and express myself in Hungarian. However, to achieve that level, while certainly not impossible, because look at me, I've done it, there is one crucial thing that you have to do. We've talked about loads of things already. We've talked about checking yourself, having higher standards, not being satisfied with whatever translation you come up with. You have to check whether it makes sense in Hungarian. And also, one of the most important things, besides being able to think in another language, is that whatever you're trying to express, it has to make sense in that other language, culturally and grammatically and vocabulary-wise or whatever. I often run into problems when trying to speak English where, because I didn't grow up in the UK, for instance, or in the US or any other country of that matter, I just don't have the cultural background necessary to express that thing. Well, that sucks, you could say. Well, it does. But most of the time I'm familiar with the things, which is great. On the other hand, though, I'm often not familiar with Hungarian stuff. But I'm arrogant enough, because I'm a native Hungarian speaker, to just dismiss that as, oh, the youth, the next generation is probably horrible, or something like that, or I wasn't even alive. But admittedly, I do have some sort of reference, because I did grow up in Hungary, as opposed to the UK, so any sort of reference is more than no reference at all. But why are we here today? Well, let's take a look. This is something I usually talk about when I teach Hungarian. And of course, because now I'm opening up, making it open source, if you wish, now you get to enjoy the things I usually talk about during Hungarian lessons. And this one is a brilliant, absolutely fantastic drawing made many years ago using Paint, because that's the only image manipulation software I'm willing to use. Screw Photoshop and InDesign and all the other crap. Paint is the one-two software. But anyways, so as you can see, there are a couple of attachments there, which is brilliant. But the main goal of the cube, if you will, is that it's a substitute for anything you want to talk about. For instance, the cube can be this water bottle. You can put things on it, next to it, in it, you can drink from it, things like that. Or you can refer to this room with the cube. We can be in it, on it, next to it. You get the point. I do have that for English prepositions as well. And that gave me the idea to come up with the one for Hungarian. As you can see, English has about 5 basic prepositions. I can go to somewhere, I can come from somewhere, or sit on it, or in it, or I can be at it. And Hungarian has more or less the same. I can go up to something, or can be at something, or can come from next to something, hence these never reach the cube, or I can come from somewhere, within or off of it, and things like that. So what can we do with the cube? Well, in the next couple of sessions, in the next 1520 million billion sessions, we are going to utilize it. Today I just wanted to mention that there is the cube and you can just copy it for yourself. It's in the document. You can contemplate, meditate, think about it, or you can downright use it already because you're an advanced Hungarian learner person. What I definitely want you to do, and sometimes it's a bit early in some cases, and maybe you're right at that level where you can do it, my advice would be to try to argue about Hungarian stuff in Hungarian. Never ever try to prove that a sentence is correct because it's correct in English. I can't tell you whether some Hungarian sentence is correct if I give you the correct translation that makes sense in English. For instance, the more the merrier. Whatever is that in Hungarian, we can only check whether that makes sense or not if we look up all the Hungarian rules, find all the cultural references, or find a Hungarian person who can just tell us whether that's good or not. I certainly don't want you to be too shy, but it's also important to avoid being arrogant. Not because it's bad, because we all love arrogant people, but because it makes you think that you speak that other language properly and nobody else understands you, and then you can just dismiss that as because they're all stupid, or maybe because they have no clue what you're trying to say because it's gibberish. Now, of course, as a native English speaker, if you are one, you don't really care about prepositions and tenses and all that sort of stuff. I do, because I'm not a native English speaker, even though when I'm talking or speaking at the moment, this is not going through my head. It's already there, it's already practiced 1,000,000 times already, so I don't need to consciously go through the rules again. But I remember a time when I did have to, and that was fine. Learning languages is fun, and it's a bit like science. Hence, there is a field of science called linguistics around it. It's a great journey, if you like it. And sometimes you have to learn a language because you have no other choice. English, for instance, is great for business. If I want to live in another country, chances are if I studied English, I might be okay for a while, especially in countries like the UK or the US. However, if you're planning to move to France, I suppose you should learn French at some point. If you plan to move to Hungary, I guess you could learn Hungarian, especially because most people don't speak English in Hungary, well, at least in the countryside. Well, I guess that's enough rambling for today. All I have to offer is the cube itself. Also watch the films. They are quite scary but fun. I'm referring to the films called Cube. So thanks for watching and see you later. Bye bye.